This is the tutorial for the string of pearls from Simple Succs. This kit comes with everything you need to create your own crochet string of pearls, and this tutorial will give a step-by-step on how to actually make it. So first we're going to start with our small strands, and we're just going to pick that up and we're going to separate the string, pull it out of its little packaging, and all of these are pre-cut to a perfect length to make the small strands for the string of pearls. So we're just going to open this up. And what you're going to do is you're just going to untangle it, and then you're going to pull apart, and you can just start with one strand, one string. So you can just choose your starting string. With this string, you're going to choose an end to start your crochet chain. So first, you're going to want to make a loop, and then lay that loop over the rest of the yarn and just pull it up through the loop and then tighten. And this is where you're going to start your crochet chain. And then you're just going to want to lightly tighten the chain a little bit, and then you're going to grab your crochet hook and you're going to put the hook inside of the loop. And then you're going to tighten the loop, and to hold your crochet chain, you're going to put the short end between your thumb and pointer finger, and then the long end is going to lay over your pointer finger in between your middle finger. And then you're going to start your chain. So to do that, you are going to wrap your hook around the yarn and then pull it through the loop. And you're just going to continuously do this and chain. Once again, wrapping the hook around the yarn and then pulling through the loop. So after you've done a few chains, you are going to make your pearl. So you are going to wrap the hook around the yarn like normal, except this time you're going to be crocheting into what you've already chained. And you're not going to go into that previous loop, you're actually going to go into the one right before it, and you're going to put your hook through that loop, wrap around the yarn, and pull back through that loop. And then you're going to wrap the hook around yarn and go in through that same hole and pull up another loop. Now you're going to wrap the yarn around the hook, and you're actually going to pull through all the loops that you've made on your hook. And you're just going to pull that through. And then you're going to go back into not the one that you put all the other loops into, but the crochet right before it. You're going to go in, wrap your hook around the yarn, and in this case you're going to slip stitch into your next chain. And then you're just going to continue that process again of chaining and then creating another pearl. And you're just going to do that until you've run out of yarn, and you're going to continue to do that for all of the other small strands to create the small strands for your crochet string of pearls. So now I'm going to show you how to basically end the strand. So once you've crocheted your strand with your chains and your pearls, and you've gotten to the end where you're almost about to run out of yarn, so you're just going to make a couple more chains as you get to the end there, and then you're going to want to pull tight on your last loop, tightening it as much as you can without breaking the yarn. And then you're actually going to pull that yarn up through the loop and really undoing the loop, and then you're just going to pull tight once again, making sure you hold that point so that you don't unravel it, and just holding it with a firm grip where you want to close off, and you're just going to pull tight. And then from there you can just grab your pair of scissors and just snip towards the end, again not cutting the knot, but just close enough so it doesn't leave too much of frizz at the end. And that's it. You've finished your chain and you've closed it off properly. Now you just have to do that a lot more times. And once you've finished up all of your small strands, you can move on to your large strands, or really you can do it in however order you want. Just moving on to the large strands, you're going to go ahead and unpackage them, unwind, untangle them once again, and separate the strings and pull a string that you want to start with first. And the process for doing the large strands is pretty much the same for the small strands, except you're working with more yarn. So your pearl, your strand, is just going to be longer than your small one. And this is to just give a little bit of difference to the end result and make it look a little bit more natural. So now, moving on to the pom-pom flowers. And this is going to be with the yellow yarn to make the flowers for the string of pearls. So once again, you're just going to unravel that and select your yarn that you're going to start with. So to make the pom-pom flower, you are going to take the yarn and place it around 2 of your fingers, and just separate them to get a little extra length. That's what I like to do. And then you're just going to wrap around 3 times, and then leave that yarn where you left off to the end, because you're going to use that to tie off your pom-pom. And then you're going to take off your little wraps from your fingers, and then you're actually going to fold them over, just like that. And you're going to take that extra yarn and you're going to wrap it as close to the end as possible, but still leaving like little loops at the end, because that's what you're going to end up crocheting through to add this to the pom-pom strands. So you're just going to wrap that, and then you're going to tie it off in a knot to secure your pom-pom. And I definitely recommend wrapping it twice and knotting it twice, just to really make sure that it does not come undone, and pulling it as tight as possible, but again without ripping the yarn. I'm just going to make a second knot. And I did find that using my finger and wrapping around my finger to leave that little loop made making the knot a lot easier, so I do recommend doing that. And then you're just going to secure your pom-pom, making sure it is secured. I did mess up here just a little bit, but just going to secure your pom-pom. Make sure it is tight so it does not come undone. And then you can just take your scissors and cut and basically tie off your pom-pom. And then also with your scissors, you're gonna flip your pom-pom around, making sure that your fingers are holding the small loops with the larger loops facing up. And then you're gonna take your scissors and you're actually gonna cut those loops so that they are open strands. And once you've opened them all up, you can of course choose to leave them at various heights, but I like to kind of pinch them together and give them a little haircut so that they're not too crazy different in lengths. And that is pretty much it. You've made your little pom-pom flower. So once you've made all of the flowers, you are going to go ahead and open up these flower strands and, like normal, just unraveling it and choosing one to start with. And the process for this strand is going to be, again, just chaining and then adding pearls in as you go along, except for this time we're actually going to incorporate and crochet in our flowers, making our flower strands. So now that you've gotten to the point where you want to add your flower, you're just going to, well, grab your pom-pom flower, and then you're going to want to actually grab where the hoop is at the back, a small hoop with your hook, and you're just going to put your hook through one of those smaller hoops at the back, and then from there, you're going to wrap your hook around the yarn, and you're actually going to pull the yarn through both the small hoop from the flower and the hoop that you already had on there from chaining on your regular strand. And what I like to do to kind of secure the flower is to go back into the previous crochet that the flower is not in and actually just slip stitch it to secure the flower, and it actually helps the flower stand up in the finishing project. So then you just continue on and finish off your strand, and that is how you crochet your flowers onto your string of pearls. Now that you've finished crocheting all of the strands, you're just going to want to start to gather them up to make a bunch that is going to be finalized and put in the pot. You're going to want to gather them where the crochet meets the yarn. So on the end that you started from, right where that point is from the yarn to your beginning chain, you're just going to want to sort of pinch that between your fingers as you collect all of your strands that you've crocheted, and you're just going to want to gather them all up. Now that you've gathered up all of your strands that you've crocheted, and you're just going to want to hold them right where the yarn meets the crochet, you're going to want to grab another piece of yarn that you're going to use to actually tie these all together. So you can use the yarn that actually wrapped the kit and held the kit up, the sort of ribbon, I guess, but you can use that or any other piece of yarn that is long enough to wrap and tie around your whole bunch. So you're basically just going to tie a knot around that, and I did a couple knots into this. At least 2 is what I would recommend to make sure that it's secured. I mean, most likely it's not going to get messed with that much, but just to hold everything together because it is a lot of yarn, wrapping it twice and tying the knot and making sure it's tight is going to really help with your finishing product. So once you've got that tight and secure, you can actually grab your pot now, and what I like to do is I like to hold the bunch sort of like by the mass where you've crocheted, and then you just plop it into the pot and arrange as you please, and congratulations, you finished your crochet string of pearls.